All right, guys. So today we're going to check out the Back Bay First Class 50 True Wireless Earbuds. Now, we've checked out some earbuds and different things from Back Bay in the past. I've noticed that this company always does seem to deliver when it comes from a value standpoint. And another thing that I've always kind of found interesting is it's a company based out of the US. So it's actually based out of Boston. So that always intrigues me because there's not really a whole lot of companies in the United States that are making audio products in general. Most of them are definitely overseas, but the First Class 50 has some very interesting things about them. First off is the price. Now they come in at $39, although right now on Amazon, it actually shows you can get them for only $26. And for $26, I can tell you right off the bat, this is a very intriguing pair for a number of reasons. But before we get into those reasons, I do want to point out the first thing that I noticed when I took the case out of the box, when I took the earbuds out of the case, is everything about these are a fingerprint magnet. Like you could just barely touch the case and it's going to show the oils from your hands. Same thing with the earbuds. Like, I don't know what material this is that's coated in these, but like there's no way to hide it. So this is not going to be like a pretty pair of earbuds. Now it is a stem style designed earbud, which I am not a huge fan of. Now these do use touch controls, but I will say this, it almost gives you control over everything, except you cannot go back to the previous track. I always find this to be interesting. I am one when I'm listening to music, if I'm really just feeling a song, I like to go back to the beginning and listen to it again and then maybe again, but you're going to have to pull out your phone to do that if you're going to be using these earbuds. Now, as far as some of the tech in these, it does have Bluetooth 5.4, so it's really good when it comes to cutting down any kind of lag. So it's good for movies, TV shows, and gaming and things like that. But this pair also has LDAC support. So you have some of the best Bluetooth quality playback that you can get because they do support LDAC. These do have an IPX5 rating, so it's going to be fine against rain and splashes and sweat and things like that. And then it also has what they call AI noise canceling. Now, I think companies are just using AI basically on everything, so I don't technically know what it's doing here. And the noise canceling, surprisingly, is actually pretty good on this pair. Now, is it great? No. But I'm going to say this, though. The people that use noise canceling that don't like that suction type feel or vacuum that some other earbuds have, that is not on this pair. It's very easy to use noise canceling on these and not have any kind of discomfort because of that. So that's a huge plus. And I would say the noise canceling really is just good. Basically, like if you're going to be traveling, if you're trying to cut out like the engine noise of a plane or the engine of a car that you're in, or maybe, you're in a hotel room and the AC unit makes noise, it kind of helps cut that down. Just don't expect any miracles when it comes to the noise canceling. But the transparency mode is actually pretty decent on here. It does a really good job of picking up my surroundings. I had no issue being able to carry on a conversation, and I never felt like I had to take these out to be able to do that. So that is a huge plus. And then outside of that, the only other features that I really feel like are on here is there's two different sound modes that are built into these. You basically have their signature sound, so that's just the way that it's tuned out of the box. And then you have a bass boost mode. And there's no app to switch between all of these different things that we're talking about. These are actually things that you do on the earbuds with touch control. So you would turn it into bass boost just by tapping the right earbud 3 times. And I can tell you right now, there's a huge difference between the signature sound and the bass boost mode, but we'll talk about that once we get to the sound. Now, as far as what they've included inside the box, you do get 5 sets of silicone ear tips. You do get a USB-C cable, which you will need to charge these because the case on these are not Qi wireless charging compatible. And speaking of the charging, battery life on these are just okay. It's not some of the best battery life that I've seen. It says that you can get 5 hours on the earbuds themselves and about 25 hours total using the case. Now, this is with the noise canceling off. If you're going to listen to these with the noise canceling on, it only drops it down to 4 hours on the earbuds, which is going to give you about 20 hours total using the case. So as you can tell, there's not like a huge difference or battery drain when using the noise canceling on or noise canceling off. Now, if you do pick these up and they are dead, it does have a fast charging feature where a 15-minute charge is going to get you about 2 hours of use. Now, as far as using these for phone calls, I do feel like the mics are just decent. It's not the best that I've heard, but it's far from the worst that I've heard as well. And I felt like it did a pretty decent job of blocking out my surroundings. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
So here is the mic test using the Back Bay earbuds. I am outside, but today it's definitely a little noisier, especially because of traffic off to the side. It has been windy for the most part, but this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is this is a very loud pair of earbuds. So if you ever have issues when you've bought other earbuds and they never really got loud enough, that is not going to be a problem with these. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the signature sound mode. I felt like that is basically a consumer-friendly tuning. Everything is elevated as far as the bass and the treble, but I don't feel like anything is just over the top. It's definitely a fun earbud to listen to. This is not one of those that I would say that you could go in and pick apart everything, and then if you want it to sound flat, it's just not possible with these because you don't have all the tuning that you get in some other earbuds, and you don't have the app to be able to even switch it between a bunch of different EQ settings. But where these really just kind of shine and kind of come to life is switching them into the bass boost mode. Everything at that point just gets completely amped up. The bass starts to loosen up quite a bit to give it that subwoofer type feel. It's not as tightened up as it is in the signature sound mode. The mids are the one thing that I felt like kind of stayed the same between both modes. I don't feel like, it ever got lost in the mix, but I never felt like it was just in my face either. I felt like it was bumped up just enough in front that you could hear male, female vocalists, just different instruments. And it does a good job of making sure these don't sound like congested. So that was a concern, especially once the bass boosted up as much as it did. But the bass boost somehow also elevates the treble in a way to kind of give it almost a sharpness to it. It starts to get to that point of being harsh. It does have that bright sound to it, but that does balance out pretty well with the fact that the bass is boosted as much as it is. So, again, it doesn't seem as though one thing is taking over when you switch it into the bass boost mode. It just feels like it's bringing everything a little more up front. But that was definitely the mode that I listened to these in pretty much the whole time. Now, I will say when it comes to the sound stage and the sound imaging, because this earbud is a little bit more dynamically tuned and a little bit more bass driven, these don't sound as open as a lot of the other earbuds that I test, but it still does a really good job of being able to tell where different sounds are coming from. So my overall opinion, and kind of sum this up, is it's not the prettiest earbud. It's very simple as far as the design goes, which is fine. I'm not a fan of how easily the fingerprints show up on these. You're not going to get Qi wireless charging. You don't even get an app with these. So really what you're getting is a fun pair of earbuds to listen to that can get really loud. You're getting LDAC support, which again, I didn't expect in this price range. Getting decent noise canceling and getting the sound that these have right now for $26 makes them definitely easy to recommend. But I even feel at the $39, I would recommend these strictly because of how they sound and how loud they can get, because a lot of people are looking for that. So I think Back Bay again proved that they can just deliver when it comes to value. But guys, that's my video on the Back Bay First Class 50s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.